Part of the jargon of supply chains is push strategy, a pull strategy, and now we have push and pull strategy, kind of a hybrid between the two. They really identify different aspects of it. One of them, you're trying to shove products through the supply chain. That's good if you're the manufacturer and it works. Okay. But you have to have somebody at the other end that wants the product. If you're cramming stuff through the process, okay, and the customer doesn't want it, you're stuck with a retailer maybe having to do a sale or something unexpected because of the fact that flat out they may not want it. So we talk about the aspect of the challenge is to coordinate activities so that the enterprise can improve the overall performance. And if you start looking on how to go about doing it, you have really the front end of the supply chain, customer demand, and the back end. So you have a back end, we call that really your production area. And then the front end is the one that actually meets the customer, the ones that the customer actually see. Traditionally, we categorize things as push pull strategies. Okay, so you're going to push it through the supply chain or you're going to drag it through the supply chain. Sometimes and recently, because of the fact that everybody's trying everything because they have time or because they have more technology to do it or because they're more creative, they actually start implementing a push-pull strategy. And some of this is based upon forecasting. On a push-based supply chain, production and distribution decisions are based on long-term forecasts. And you already know that the number one rule of forecast is the forecast is never right. You start doing long term, no matter how good you are, you don't know if we're going to have COVID strikes again, COVID 5, it got released from the lab and we got it again. You have different aspects out there that the whole world can go into the tank in a matter of 30 days. Who would have ever thought? And it did. So you have those kind of things happen. You have a trucker strike. You have the Long Beach ports are shut down because of the fact that they have this issue over here. California says only trucks that are electric powered can sit there and haul things around from the docks to the first stage of warehousing. Actually, that's a law. Okay, so that's coming into effect. So that being said, you have all kinds of things that happen. So when you start doing long term, anytime you say long term, especially on supply chain, you really put yourself in jeopardy. But to be honest, in business, whenever you use the words long term, you already know the probability of it being 100% accurate is somewhere around zero. 80% accurate over a long period of time is good, but what is a long period of time in the supply chain? Everybody wants to exhaust every avenue of the supply chain. Nobody wants to be stuck holding inventory. Nobody wants holding costs. Nobody wants safety stock. They all want everybody happy, everybody making lots of money, especially themselves. So the manufacturer, they demand forecasts of orders received from retailers' warehouses, but it also takes much longer if you're using a push base because you're really dealing from the manufacturing end, and it takes longer to sit down and react to a changing marketplace because you're expecting the machine to keep on going all the way through, and boom, if you got a bump over here, then you have this back, and we call that recall the bullwhip effect as it goes backwards down the supply chain. So then different aspects of it, you can have an inability to meet changing demand patterns. You can have obsolescence of the supply chain inventory. It gets bad on the shelving, whether it's food or even just a regular product just sitting there. If you sat down and did a gallon of vinegar and it's sitting there, vinegar can last forever. But even then, if you got a stamp on it and it's been sitting on the shelf for 2 years, you might have some type of a problem because the customer's going to look at that and say, this is going to expire next month. I don't understand. I don't realize vinegar could expire. You have it on the box because. So that being said, you have all kinds of different things out there that can sit down there and gum up the supply chain, sometimes literally. Okay, so it depends where you're at. Orders from the retailer, they have a lot of variability because they're responding to customer demand, and they may be overstocked and not order something in the regular order cycle that you're counting on if you have a push-based supply chain. Now, a pull-based supply chain is the retailer pulling it through the system. Yes, I need this. Give it to me. Give it to me. Give it to me. Now, it's based upon their forecasting, and it's different. They really want to focus in on a decrease in the variability of the system if you use the pull-based one, because that way you're sitting down and engaging yourself according to what the end retailer is looking at. So a pull-based supply chain, you'll see a reduction in the system inventory level. And also, when you have a pull-based system, it's difficult to implement when lead times are so long. It's impractical to react to customer information. I'm in the process of working on something right now. We're going to start a brand new product, and I have no idea as to what the overall inventory is. So I'm going to hold the inventory myself rather than asking the manufacturer to for now. That being said, when it comes down to it, how do I sit down and make that decision? How often will I sit down and start establishing my supply chain if indeed the product takes off and sales are as we expect? So you have those different things. We talked about a pull-based supply chain. And then you have a push-pull. That's where you really are having dialogues on the different forecasts. You have the ultimate that's going to dominate. The best ones are always the forecasts from the actual retailer because they're closest to the consumer. So you really have the last stages of the pull-based strategy, and then you try to interface it, and you have people talking to each other. You have the retailer talking to the middle person that's at the warehouse that's going to hold their stock, and to the manufacturer, and even sometimes you include the raw material stuff. If you have all those different elements talking to each other, you're going to have a much smoother synthesis from beginning to end in your supply chain. That's why the push-pull strategy, the only way it works is when everybody reveals what their forecasts are and they have dialogue going on there. That also probably means longer term supply contracts, because otherwise, I don't know about you, if I'm the retailer and I want to make certain I have this stuff and I'm maximizing profits, I want to make certain that what I have planned is going to happen, and I'm going to watch those people down there until I can trust them. And the best way I can trust them is experience working with them and also having a solid contract with them. That way, if they decide to carry two different products, one mine and another one comparable to mine, I can sit down and say, hey, knock it off. Okay, and I have a contractual basis to do that. So you have the whole aspect of it. You have the secret thing is this push pull boundary. It's actually a mark right down the middle. There is no mark. It's a matter of give and take. You have the forecast out over there, and this thing in the middle, this imaginary thing we call the push-pull boundary, really are the people talking back together. And when they see things getting out of sync, they start readjusting, and they have a lot of communication happening. If you have this working for you, where everybody is in sync, they're all talking to each other, and you're relying primarily on the pull forecast, pulling it through the system from the retail end, it's going to be better. But still, if it's a matter of if they're pushing things through, they have to get manufacturing. You don't want to have that manufactured mill stopping. You want it to continue. So maybe the people on the end over here, maybe they modify their strategy, and maybe they need to have a sale coming up in 5 weeks. Okay, so that's part of the dialogue. So push pull, know the push strategies, know the pull strategies, and know the push pull strategies. Each one is going to help you sit down there and have some threshold of knowledge as to what you need to be successful in your establishment of your own supply chain. Take care.